Okay, rear delt isometric contractions, or iso holds. This is probably something I should have done at home rather than doing in the gym, because the door frames are set up in a house better than they are in here. But I'm going to give it a go because the concept is still going to be the same. And I do have a door frame that I can work with. The only problem with this is that I'm working with it onto blockwork. The frame is recessed very slightly behind the blockwork, so I'm going to have to use the blockwork and just use the hole as something to stand in. It's a bit less comfortable. I could put straps around my hands or something, but it's only for demonstration, so I'm just going to batter on with it. Essentially what you're trying to do is stand between the hole so that you get something to lever yourself back into, and you've got a little bit of space, and then you put your hands back against the frame, or in this case the blockwork, and then you're trying to effectively do what you would do if you were trying to do a rear delt fly, and trying to pull up the way and use the back muscle of the shoulder, this tiny little muscle back here, and squeeze and engage it as you pull back. But you're trying to find a point where you can engage that and very little else. So you don't want it to be in a position where you're all the way back, because then your traps are going to start getting involved. It's really just to try and hit the rear delts, push into them, contract them, squeeze and hold for about 20 to 30 seconds. Certainly no longer than that. This is a very small muscle, and it's not going to take 1 minute or 2 minutes worth of contraction. 20 to 30 seconds should be more than enough. You might not even get that far, because you want constant contraction from start to finish. So try and work on just engaging the muscles at the back of the shoulder. They're one that people tend not to engage with very much, so this is very useful for your mind-muscle connection, but as a pre-fatigue as well, before you go and do any other workout, then it's worthwhile just sort of working on this in order to fatigue that muscle, or in order to get a mind-muscle connection in before you do anything that involves that rear delt, so that you do include it in the motion when you go to do some kind of row or whatever. You are using it as a stabilizer. But if nothing else, because you're using isometric contraction, you are stabilizing as well. So when you go to push back and you're contracting into it, you're using it as a stabilizer, so you're strengthening it at that point, and that's going to build some level of strength at the back of the shoulder and hold your shoulder joint in place much more successfully, which is really good for the health of your shoulder. I'll show you what I mean. So as you're doing it, you might find that one shoulder is more engaged than the other one, but you've got the time while you're there, because you're not moving very much, to try and then shift your focus and move slightly to the other shoulder, whichever one's engaging or whichever one's not engaging. Shift your focus over, then you might find that one takes over and you've got to kind of move it back, and you're trying to get a balance between the two. But because you're not moving very much, you're giving yourself plenty of time to be able to really focus on the connection to that muscle and connect with it correctly, and then scan the rest of your body internally and make sure that you're not throwing your body back into it, you're not contracting your upper back muscles together. You are just literally pulling from here and contracting to draw your arm back, and that is all you're doing. So give it a go, see how you get on with it. Remember, 20 to 30 seconds max. You do not want to be doing this for a minute or more, because the muscle is so small that it's not going to be able to cope with it. It's one of the safer ones to do because it is a small muscle, so the idea of suffocating that area, it's not a big portion of your body, so you're probably not going to have any major problems with it of blacking out or anything like that, unless you've got very low blood pressure. But it's still something, it's not worth taking the risk on. Just do it for a short period of time and have a play about with the height of your hands, and a play about with how far back you're stepping into the door frame in order to make sure you've got that connection exactly in that part of the shoulder. Give it a go, let me know how you get on.